This is Gotham TV Podcast, episode 114, about Gotham, Dark Knight, season 4, episode 11, Queen Takes Night, the fall finale.
This is Victoria Cartagena. I play Renee Montoya on Gotham.
Hey, this is Andrew Stewart-Jones. I play Christmas Allen on Gotham.
This is Robin Lloyd-Taylor. I'm David Mazouz.
Hey, Gotham TV Podcast listeners. This is Maggie Gia, otherwise known as Poison Ivy.
This is Drew Powell, and you're listening to Gotham TV Podcast.
Welcome back, Gothamites, to episode 114 of Gotham TV Podcast, where we're talking about the fall finale of Gotham, season 4, which is episode 11, Queen Takes Night. I'm one of your hosts, Derek.
Hi, I'm one of your other hosts, John. Yes, this chess-like episode of Gotham. Really, really good season finale, I think. And good to see it round off until around about February the 15th, we're thinking. There's no exact return date yet, but it's likely to be February the 15th.
Yeah. While the finale was on, there was an advert for a new reality show on Fox taking the place of Gotham in its slot from January 2nd, I think it is, which is going on for 6 weeks, which leads us up until the February 15th is the first free date after that. So hoping that we'll be back in mid-February with our next episode of Gotham. Which is pretty cool. But this one had lots of moving pieces, lots of pieces moving around the board of Gotham, and a big reveal of the plan of Sofia Falcone. So definitely a fun one.
Yeah, really, absolutely superb. Really gives Jim a genuine sort of dilemma and conundrum to go through, I think, here. Which I really, really enjoyed. And of course, if you enjoyed it and enjoy listening to our podcasts about all things Gotham, please head on over and subscribe, rate us, leave a review on your favorite podcast catcher. We're on Apple Podcasts, we're on Google Play, and any good or evil podcast catcher. You can just head on over to gothamtvpodcast.com and look to subscribe on the subscribe section on the homepage. As well, just a quick reminder that we do have a competition, a prize giveaway for this season. The line of the week, the moment of the week, maybe even the episode of the season. Anything you found that stood out, please send them on in so that we can share them with all the listeners, and you will be entered into the prize draw towards the end of season 4 of Gotham for lots and lots of Gotham prizes. But we will certainly keep you reminded of this, so please send in your line or moment of the week for each episode of Gotham in season 4.
Great to get that kind of feedback in. That's very cool. Thank you.
Yeah, but with that little reminder, we're on to another reminder, our spoiler-filled review. Derek, what are some of the episode details for this?
Yep, some of our season regulars are back for this episode. Big director for the show, our showrunner, Danny Cannon, is back to direct this episode. And the episode was written by John Stevens with all his wiles and crazy twists and turns. Definitely a stamp from his episodes for the show.
Absolutely. Best known for the Balloon Man episode 3 of season 1 for Derek.
He's redeemed himself many, many times since then.
Absolutely. Great showrunner and writer for Gotham.
Absolutely. John, do you want to tell us what they gave us with your synopsis for the episode?
Sure. The continuing violent feud between Penguin and Sofia Falcone rages on, but the arrival of Carmine Falcone to Gotham at the request of Oswald complicates the picture. His death at the hands of gunmen linked to Oswald sends Gotham into turmoil. Despite the chaos, the wealthy in Gotham continue to party, and Bruce is on a bender. His antics in and out of the bedroom put increasing distance and friction between him and Alfred. Alfred tries to get through to Bruce once and for all, but events escalate, and Bruce fires Alfred from his service and terminates his guardianship over him by legal order. In the Narrows, Nygma struggles to gain control over the Riddler persona once again, and Tabitha attempts to make Grundy remember his past, one bat to the head at a time. As war descends on Gotham in the void of Falcone's murder, a determined Jim Gordon, backed by the GCPD, seeks to end the gang's stranglehold in the city. First, he dismantles Oswald's forces, arresting him for the death of Martine. Jim then turns his attention on Sophia, but a series of secrets, lies, and revelations of her actions brings into focus the stark choices that Jim must make as captain of the GCPD. As the extent of Sophia's manipulation is laid bare, Bullock's prophetic words ring out, "This is about the choices you made. This is all on you." But all is not tears and sadness in Gotham, as a familiar smile and a distinctive chuckle resurfaces at Arkham Asylum. What a lot of toing and throwing in this episode. Definitely a lot going on in the mid-season finale. But I think we can move on to our top 5 case notes for this episode.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, case note number 1, the return of Carmine Falcone. What a great actor John Doman is really as Carmine.
Absolutely.
Really good to see him back and sad to see him go at the hands of mystery gunmen who we feel or we think were ordered by Oswald at this moment. Carmine has been brought back to Gotham at the request of Oswald. Oswald has effectively snitched on Sophia that she is causing trouble and strife in Gotham, especially for him. And Carmine has come back to bring her back down to Miami like Jim was trying to do before she was returned to Gotham by Victor Zsasz.
There's so many great moments in this episode that fall under the return of Carmine. This moment that we find that Sophia is working with the sirens, she brings them back to the Falcone household. And there's only one reason she'd go back there with the sirens is because Carmine's returned. But we find out Carmine's working with Penguin. Yeah, that's a real surprise. Effectively, it's kind of, this mobster's annoying me. I'll call her daddy and get her to come and pick her up. It's really harsh, but I love this moment where Carmine goes, well, the reason I came, because Penguin called, is because, hang on a second, you slept with your brother's killer, Jim Gordon? Hang on. And the reaction from Barbara Keane to that moment, I almost called her Barbara Gordon there for a second. The reaction going, hang on a second, you what?
Yeah.
Another woman has slept with Jim Gordon and is a crazy mobster in the city of Gotham.
And absolutely, Barbara's reaction when she gets some form of acknowledgement from Carmine as well. He remembers her and she's like, oh, okay. It feels like her street cred has just gone up a notch or two in the Gotham underworld. That was a really little nice reaction as well.
Absolutely. But we get our big proper reveal of Sophia's plan. We had a little bit of it last week, but there are even more twists and turns this week in what Sophia has been doing in the city of Gotham, which I thought was fascinating. I love how this has been set up throughout the season. She's had every moment planned all the way through. The fact that it's set up here that we all think that Oswald could possibly have killed Carmine Falcone. But this turns out to be a plot from Sophia. She said she gave her father a chance to stand behind her. He refused, therefore she kills him. Also the fact that she's the one that hired Professor Pig to come and slaughter some cops in the city of Gotham to try and see if she could get Jim on her side. Again, another really interesting twist. She's hired a serial killer to kill people in Gotham just so she can get everything in place for her plan to take over the city. That's fascinating stuff.
She is one evil lady. This is really good that effectively she has been playing so many people. She has been able to keep pace with Oswald. She has most definitely been playing Jim as well, by hiring Laszlo, and obviously getting his face changed so that he is the Professor Pig that we know, and of course kind of have come to love as well in that murderous way. But also I think she has been playing her father as well. She has wanted him to absolutely stand by her. She feels that Gotham is hers. She realizes that Carmine does not want to come back to Gotham. I do like that moment before Carmine gets killed where he turns to Jim and really says, there's never any sun in this city. It's a really nice moment for really exposing his motivations. It's kind of desperate in a way.
Yeah.
And even his,
tan.
yeah, exactly. He prefers the sunny climate of down south.
See, I thought that was a real kind of revelation from Carmine. It was almost a moment of him going, I don't belong in this city anymore. This isn't my place. This isn't my home. And it being one of his final words, effectively saying Gotham is no longer for him. And then he gets shot and killed. It's a nice kind of bookend to the character of Carmine, who's been with us since the premiere episode, and was the former leader of Gotham, the former king of Gotham.
Definitely. It really speaks a lot as to how Gotham has changed since season 1. But also, I do like Carmine's sort of real rebuttal of Jim. He says, you're welcome to it. You will find that this will absolutely bring you down, what you've tried to do. And ultimately we see later on, and it will be one of our later case notes, does Jim really win here? Does he have to compromise? So it's a really nice setup where Falcone then is gunned down. Initially, as we said, we think it's Oswald. It's certainly hinted at being that. But, that darker truth comes out here, where Sophia has hired Professor Pig to be included in this shootout. So Pig shoots with, surgeon-like precision from a sniper rifle to shoot Sophia, but the guys in the back of the sort of the A-team truck that rolls into view is gunning down Carmine and his bodyguards effectively. It's really interesting. And these ties between Sophia and Pig, about her hiring him, as you say, and then sort of being involved in her manipulation of Jim. It just really is great stuff that we get here.
Yeah.
The Falcones, what a great family to have. And even that classic moment where she's got the neck brace on and she's in the wheelchair at her father's funeral and in her mansion is all a ruse, but it's a real nice touch to the comic, The Long Halloween, where Sofia Falcone is in a wheelchair and has been heavily injured. I think it's from the Joker from The Long Halloween, but it's very reminiscent of that look from The Long Halloween.
Very cool. Very cool. We did say that at the start of this season that a lot of this season would be based on those characters in Long Halloween. And we obviously had the Scarecrow. So that's something that's been taken from that book. Yeah, it's really good to use these kind of bits that are so important. Have to give myself a little pat on the back while live watching this and live tweeting the episode the other night. The instant that Sophia meets Jim at her father's funeral and goes to him, Sofia Falcone was the one that killed her father. Instantly tweeted it out going, I know this sounds crazy right now, but Sophia did it. She has to have herself and her father, while they have always worked together, as we've seen, her father turning on her here is not something that Sophia is going to accept. So while it was supposed to be covering up, I also felt that Oswald probably wouldn't take this tack. That doesn't sound like him. It's more like he would poison their Thanksgiving dinner rather than shooting everybody in front of the house.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was hilarious when Oswald in the cathedral and during Carmine's funeral just suddenly blurts out, not now, to two of his guys as they're about to go in and gun down Sophia. Really
or at least
good.
kidnap her, yeah.
Or kidnap her or do whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, not now, not here kind of thing. And really, I must say that did make me laugh. But, that was also kind of nice, tense moment in the cathedral as well. I really enjoyed that, with Jim, Sophia, Oswald being there. And of course, Victor Zsasz here also has a really great little moment, and story arc through here where he effectively turns his back on Oswald, around Martin's death, where Sophia has really now tried to get Jim to go against Oswald by saying that he killed, young Martin, and Zsasz is happy and in front of Oswald to turn on him by saying that he saw Martin get killed. But I think even more so, just that moment where he kind of bends down to kiss Sophia's hand, and he says, they're a cobblepot. You're a Falcone. Zaz used to be in the employ of Carmine.
Absolutely.
He is absolutely distraught with Carmine's death. Great little moment with the bullet from the gun as well over Carmine's corpse in the coffin.
That's right, where he pulls the reload back, knocks out a bullet, and then puts it in the coffin with Carmine, which is very interesting, kind of saying, I've always been yours, effectively. So if you didn't think the twist was coming, that was a nice little indicator, a nice little touch.
Definitely.
There for
I really enjoyed that moment of Zaz turning and becoming, the right-hand person for Sophia. And I suspect he will have less secretarial duties to do.
He's never been very good at the answer phone, has he?
No, exactly. And certainly after what Tabitha seemed to be doing to Mr. Penn, I'm sure he may have had an increased workload, Zaz, with Oswald. I don't know whether Mr. Penn survived that encounter. Was it teeth being ripped out by Tabitha, or was she atop him, strangling him or something? I don't know. There are lots of shrieks. Initially, I thought it was the dentist guy was back again, ripping out Mr. Penn's teeth, but I think it could have been Tabitha.
Tabitha can extract a lot of information, definitely. I'm not sure if it was teeth, but definitely information is what she was getting from him.
Yeah.
Poor Mr. Penn.
Well, poor Mr. Penn, indeed. I think this brings us on to case point number 2. Does Jim win? Question mark here. We see Sophia shoot Pig and then really lay it on the table to Jim that he can either say that she did it and she will expose absolutely everything that he has done with her, or Jim can say that he shot the pig and is bringing him in. He maintains his reputation at the GCPD, but ultimately that Sophia goes free here. There is a real catch-22 provided by Sophia, and poignantly, she says, that is my revenge for the death of Mario as well. There has been underlying all of this relationship a Mario revenge story as well.
Mm-hmm. And most importantly here, she gets control of the city as well. She will then take back all of the families that have been under the control of Oswald, and Jim doesn't win. So I suppose to kind of lay out exactly what's happened here, Jim's got the GCPD back on his side. They're now fighting for him and with him, against Oswald. He gets Oswald back in prison. Carmine's gone, so that's another one of the families gone. And he's effectively saying if he can just get rid of Sofia Falcone, there then will be no gangs and no organized crime in Gotham. It's gone. It's done. Everything's sorted. But she's saying to him, no, you have to let me go. I'm going to do exactly what you're saying. I'm going to unite all of the families back under the Falcone name, but it'll be Sofia Falcone and you'll have to live with that. Yeah, it's a really interesting one. So on the outside, to the people of Gotham and the members of the GCPD, all his colleagues, Jim has won. Harvey even says it to him. You got everything you wanted, but the price is that he has to live with the knowledge that he's let Sofia Falcone take back over Gotham.
Yeah, it's really interesting. If we scroll back a bit, to Carmine's funeral, that Jim gets, an unexpected tap on the shoulder here from Harvey, who really tells Jim to make Penguin start a war so that he can really get some evidence against Oswald. And in fact, that Oswald might slip up so that he does something where, he can then get put into prison or into Arkham Asylum. But at the same time, Harvey here is he's echoing what he said, 2 or 3 episodes ago, where he says, whatever you did to get into the captain's chair at the GCPD, you will have to live with that, but there will be a price to pay.
Exactly.
And he really comes back here to say that, these choices that you made, it is all on you, Jim. You have to sort this out if that's what you want to do. But, whatever the bribe might be, a free, more peaceful city, there is still a bribe being had, whether it's for that or for money or for whatever, and I think that was a really nice little sort of return of Harvey here. I think also, poignant moment with the gun and the badge left on Jim's table back at the GCPD precinct by Harvey. Again, does Jim win here? He's just lost his long-serving partner, and not on really good terms either. So a lot of this newfound security that Gotham will have, in that at least there will be the recognizable underground in the Falcone family. It will be back to the days of Carmine and Jim's dad to an extent, is really what Sophia is trying to say. None of this Penguin, Riddler, Mad Hatter, Jerome, and all that, okay, they're still here, they're in Arkham, but it's reset. Jim feels good about that, but he has lost so much power and friendship on his way to get there. And to me, I actually thought this was a fantastic side of Jim's story, and it's one that I've really wanted to see, where he's having to make that choice, and he really did. And, Fergie's great moment for Jim Gordon here.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I really like this moment with Jim. I also love that moment in the GCPD when Penguin comes in and tries to do what he always does, which is say to the members of the GCPD, just tell me where Sofia Falcone is, and all of you live. I don't understand why you're willing to put your lives on the line for this criminal. And effectively, the GCPD are finally turning around and saying, we're not. We're putting our lives on the line for the city of Gotham because our boss, Jim Gordon, wants us to. And that great line from Harper, his new partner, or the new member of the GCPD, where she goes, you can count all you want to her, when he says he's going to start counting to 5 and then start shooting people. And they eventually drag out Oswald. So really showing the GCP are truly behind Jim. That speech from Jim really just made me want to, chant GCPD.
Absolutely.
A great little speech to finally see this team coming together in the city of Gotham was really cool. Let's go on to our case note 2. The other kind of big, I suppose, really big moment for the episode is Bruce's emancipation. Alfred and Bruce having a very big moment in this episode. Have to say that opening of these scenes where Alfred walks in to the absolutely trashed Wayne Manor and finds Bruce in bed with 2 girls and wakes him up with the ice from the champagne bucket and just goes, good morning, miss, to the 2 ladies in bed with Bruce. Great little moment, a kind of comedy moment, but it does get very dark very fast. Bruce is on a really long journey, as Alfred has said, but he was going to stick beside Bruce all the way. But it looks like Bruce is not wanting that. Bruce seems to be really drowning his fears and anxieties over the murder of Ra's al Ghul and the loss that he's feeling over the death of his parents. He seems to be drowning that now in alcohol and partying with friends.
But I love that from his perspective, as he says to Alfred, he says, I haven't thought about my parents or Ra's al Ghul's death in the last, 3 weeks or something, or month, or however long it is, that for him at this moment, this is his escape. And it is Bruce's emancipation. It's emancipation from that past to some extent by him going on all of these booze-filled, benders and parties, but also, ultimately it leads to his emancipation from Alfred in a real, shocking, way. I mean, they fight as, Bruce is wanting to go out again. Alfred wants to take him to Switzerland so that he can calm down, do a bit of walking in the mountains, breathe in the fresh air, get a nice relaxing spa, enjoy a bit of skiing, a bit of fondue, maybe some raclette, something like that. But ultimately, he really wants to kind of cool the jets on Bruce Wayne's party life. But in trying to do that, he ultimately forces himself too much to prevent Bruce from going to meet up with Tommy. And, it ends up in a fight between these 2 people. And ultimately ends up with Alfred being dismissed from, Bruce's service and no longer being Bruce's legal guardian, with a letter from his lawyer sort of revoking that legal guardianship.
Yeah, that's really, really interesting. A great fight, actually, between the 2 of them. I think Alfred had him, I must say. I think even though Bruce has had his training now, he's had some time with Ra's al Ghul, he's had some training with Alfred. And Alfred gets a bit of criticism from Bruce. He kind of says, who's going to stop this here? The only one I see panting is you, old man. That's when Alfred strikes with the punch across the face and leaves Bruce with his bruise that allows him to get emancipation. But a really tough moment there to watch after this, 3.5 seasons of these two characters working together and being side by side. They've had their fights before, but this seems like a big one.
Yeah.
And as it cuts to, after Alfred leaves, as it cuts to the party scenes with Bruce again, now sitting in the corner, wearing the more familiar kind of scowl on his face as he is not enjoying the party life. I think he's having that moment of realization, even just after Alfred leaves, that he's made a bad choice here in his life.
Yeah. I mean, it's so tough to watch these two, these two friends, these companions, being horrendously split apart by the actions of Bruce, to an extent. And certainly given we know how Alfred and Batman work together in the future, but it makes their relationship so real. I'm actually really glad they've done this because it really speaks to the ups and downs of any relationship, that they go through good and bad, and in some cases really quite terrible things. And this is one of those terrible moments in Bruce and Alfred's relationship. And I think it's really good that the show tackles this. Yeah. And I must say, it's fantastic writing and really emotional. And that just shows you how good, Sean Pertwee and David Mazouz have been in bringing these two characters together.
Yeah.
And realizing this really, difficult, separation and clash between the two as well.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I have to say it's a great choice to do this scene. I did see a comment over on one of the Facebook chat groups about Gotham from somebody saying, do you think that's it? Do you think Alfred's not coming back to Wayne Manor now that he's been fired by Bruce? Well, we kind of all know the story, and we know that Alfred is definitely coming back at some stage in the future. But I do love that they give it a bit of a rocky road. This relationship can't just be a single easy road for both of them. Batman and Bruce have to go through some bad times, and Alfred has to go through a bit of a war as well to know why and know to stick right beside Bruce all the way through the rest of their time together. They've had their bad times in the future as well, as we've seen in Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises, where Alfred has stepped away from Bruce Wayne because of his actions. They will always battle against each other, but they always have each other's back. I think Bruce now needs to learn how strong the relationship is between the two of them. So, blowing off a little bit of steam, but blowing off a little bit too much in getting rid of Alfred, after this episode, unfortunately. But yeah, very, very good scene. Really, really enjoyed those moments in this episode. Let's go on to our next case note. Tabitha and Grundy. What's Pretty Lady doing with Iron Bat? Oh, poor Grundy in these scenes. I know Tabitha really wants her butch back, because when she fought against Grundy in that fight sequence in the Narrows a couple of weeks ago, Grundy was able to call her Tabby. He knows exactly who she is, so she wants to get her man back, really. She's not willing to give up on him, I suppose, is the way to say it, but beating him over and over again with an iron bar going, remember who you are.
But it was so funny. And yet it was so kind of emotionally romantic. You know, you could see in Tabitha, you could see how much she wanted her butch back. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and okay, there was the lineup of lead piping and hammers and baseball bats and you name it, anything that you could have a good swing at Butch's head.
It was all the Cluedo tools, wasn't it?
It was. Candlestick, exactly. But having said that, despite that kind of real extreme hilarity from this lineup of bats and belts and pipes and hammers and whatever, you really did feel that Tabitha just was like, I want my butch back. I know that you know who I am because of that fight, a few episodes before. And that Tabby really misses Butch. And it was really poignantly romantic as well, being smacked around the head. Grundy can take it. It's not like it's a regular relationship. Where he goes, what pretty lady want, again, it's so like,
sweet.
He doesn't understand. He just wants to be back with Riddler.
But importantly, he does call her pretty lady as well. So he does recognize an attraction between the two of them. And Tabitha does make the point that the reason he called her Tabby before was because he was being beaten by her in the ring. So she is making that point that she will have to hit him really hard to get all of the rest of his memories back, not just her name.
It's a scientific experiment. Exactly. And of course, the tragedy of it all is that when she feels that she has completely lost him because he is not responding to her as Tabby, only pretty lady, then when she leaves, Grundy looks into the reflection of a puddle on the floor, and it is Butch that has come back. What has happened to me?
Yes, we hear the familiar voice of Drew Powell without the Grundy affectation where he says, yeah, what has happened to me? So we'll be looking forward to seeing how that plays out in the next half of the season.
Yes.
But yeah, really did enjoy the scene. I thought it was really well put together. I love that she plays the Solomon Grundy theme to bring him down from upstairs and bring him out of the Narrows. The other thing as well, obviously importantly here, Tabitha is not only wanting to get Butch back, she just is incredulous at the idea that not only does he not know who he is, but he's working with the person who chopped off her hand and attempted to kill both of them in Nygma. So she's really just kind of going, all right, this situation is like hell. My ex-boyfriend, who I thought was dead and killed by Barbara Keane, is now working with Nygma. That's very difficult for her.
Yeah, definitely. But speaking of that evil Riddler, and speaking of possible romance and love in the air, our final case note here, case note number 5, is Ed and evil Ed. But is Ed in love with Leslie Tompkins? There seems to be a real battle between the two Ed personas here. And evil Ed is really kind of hinting that it's because you love Leslie Tompkins here. That, Ed Nygma absolutely has, if not fallen in love, has become very, very attached to Leslie Tompkins and what she's doing and how she treats him. And I suppose that's really in contrast to how evil Ed is getting at him through the mirror, through his own mind, that reflection of himself.
Yeah.
And he's back again.
Yeah, he's effectively saying to him, the only reason you don't want to become me again, because you had so much fun being me, the only reason you don't want to do that is because Leslie Tompkins told you that she only wants to keep you around. She wants you, her friend, Edward Nygma, not me, the evil Riddler, to be around. So does he love Leslie Tompkins? Will we see another bit of a series arc for Leslie Tompkins where she has a different love interest in the city? We all know what's happened to Ed's previous 2 girlfriends on the show. So let's hope that Leslie stays safe if she does enter a relationship with Ed. But yeah, a kind of an interesting point to kind of leave the Ed Nygma story for this half of the season.
Definitely.
I did get a message on Twitter while I was live tweeting the episode right at the end from one of our listeners, Doug Green, who said, good luck trying to squeeze all that into 5 points. We couldn't. There's no possibility of squeezing everything into 5 points and doing the episode justice. Those are the 5 points. We do have an extra section, which we like to call our notes section. It'll be slightly bigger than normal this time because we haven't even mentioned the end of the episode. We haven't really, I don't think, given enough time to one of your favorite characters, John, who was lost this episode. Professor Pig got a bullet into the head in this episode. Shocking moment.
Yes. Toodles Gotham. It's been a blast. Pig. Really sad to see Pig getting shot there by Sophia, just because the character was played fantastically. Mm-hmm. Now I'm hoping that one of his titanium faceplates came to his rescue and that he is only thought to be dead, but that he will rise from the autopsy table, kill the pathologist who is about to start work on him, and he will return. Yeah, Professor Pig has been an awesome character. Definitely. Introduced by Gotham. Really iconic, really stand out, really complex, and obviously now really interwoven into Sophia's storyline. And it's been really good to see. Yes, he is an absolute psychopath. He's incredibly violent, but he brought so much style. it was Sweeney Todd on Gotham, and it worked incredibly well. And I have just loved this character and how he has interacted with Jim, with Oswald, and then now with Sophia. But alas, he was shot, and is he ready for the roast?
Can I give you another little ray of hope, John, as well? Because there's a couple of little clues that may not be Professor Pig. So, do you remember at the start of the episode, the GCPD are chasing down Laszlo and they find the dead body of a surgeon who could possibly have done a facelift on Professor Pig, making him look different so that Laszlo can slip off into the shadows. And that message, Toodles Gotham, it's been a blast, is written on the wall, which is the last moment of the life of the surgeon as he points towards this message written on the wall. So hugely important that the GCPD had to see that message. Huge thing that you may not have noticed on there. It's signed Pig, P-I-G-G. Professor Pig was very, very quick to point out that his name is not spelt like that. It's spelled P-Y-G because it's reference to Pygmalion.
That is true.
So did Sophia hire a southern gentleman, give him a facelift to make him look like Laszlo or look like Professor Pig with the bald head and kill him in the presence of Jim Gordon, thus hiding Laszlo and hiding Professor Pig for the future?
Maybe. Let's hope so. I think you're absolutely right on the Pig versus PYG. So that is a huge clue that PYG would never spell his name PIGG.
Yeah.
Definitely. I like that. I really like that, actually.
And it's a less complex plot than Gotham have used sometimes to bring people back from the dead.
That is true. So no, that's good. It gives me hope. And please, I really hope that they bring him back because he is such a good character. Most definitely. We also have another big character here. And of course, it was teased maybe that he would be more integral into this episode than maybe he was, but we do get Jerome.
Oh, Fox marketing executives. Most of you have done a great job in trying to promote the show, but wow, I have to say, having tweets and having Facebook pages and having GIFs going around all about the appearance of Jerome in this episode when he appeared in the last 3 seconds of the episode, that was pretty harsh. I was seeing people getting very excited about the next Jerome episode of Gotham when in fact, he appeared in the post-credit scene almost, as Penguin returned to Arkham Asylum sitting in his cell, hearing the familiar voice of someone that wants to make friends with him.
Yes, but really good. He's certainly got that smile back. I mean, he is looking pretty jokery, to be honest. Whether he is or he isn't anymore, I think probably doesn't really matter for this Gotham. He is the Joker of the piece.
Yeah, he's looking really like the new 52 version of the Joker, definitely. The one by Greg Capullo. Looks really like that same haircut. He's now got the Joker lines, the ones from Dark Knight. They're definitely carved into his face, as we see a little bit more of on the preview for the next half of the season. So I must say, a really cool style. The makeup work that's used on Jerome, on Cameron Monaghan, who plays Jerome, is fantastic. It looks really, really cool. I'm really looking forward to seeing him back next season and working with Penguin. Another new old friend, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it could be really, really interesting.
These two characters have never met on screen before. I remember the last time that Jerome was doing something in the city, he called out, it was put on the news, and you hear Penguin going, "That laugh's pretty contagious," effectively is what he said. And now you hear through this conversation, you hear Jerome's laugh, and because of that, you see that Oswald's connecting who it is, which is quite cool.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's not going to necessarily be a smooth ride for these two, or at least not for Oswald. It seemed, certainly the preview for the second half, there could be a little bit of fighting, a little bit of brinkmanship between these two, but it would be interesting to see them work together. That, maybe Oswald has varying degrees of craziness and complicity with the crazy world of Gotham, and that he can also be a bit of a chameleon. He can work in either of those spheres, and that maybe, just maybe, after his Pax Penguina and his mayoralship has all kind of finished, that he's decided, I think we need to release the ticking penguins, the wind-up ticking penguins, and he's going to become a little bit more crazy, and a little bit more aligned with the likes of Jerome, and so on. So that would be really, really good to see, but it was good to see Jerome back in this episode, even if it was brief.
So, Gotham moment of the week, for me, it has to be Tabitha with her iron bar, and Grundy. I know it's a very short scene, but it just had those moments of, sadness, of happiness about the two of them, may possibly being able to rekindle their relationship. I just really like the scene.
I have 3 moments of the week, actually. It is, Zaz stood over Carmine's body in the coffin, taking out the bullet and slipping it underneath his jacket. I think it is Harvey leaving his badge and gun on Jim's desk in the GCPD. And my third moment is the moment where Jim has to make that choice. And when Sophia passes the mobile phone with the GCPD desk officer calling out who's there, he makes the choice that he has shot Professor Pig to save Sophia. It wasn't Sophia. I thought that was really, really immense for the character of Jim Gordon. And it really, plays with that morality, I suppose, that I've been looking at or discussing about, for the whole of this season, and maybe even for longer.
Yeah. Gotham character of the week. We usually give this to someone that's brand new, just in for an episode. Can I go Gotham character of the week as Sofia Falcone? Because this episode was so important for Sophia. This really showing off her plan and how much she's willing to do to take back the city of Gotham. Like, we kind of thought, is she subpar as a villain? Is she not to the level of Nygma, of Oswald Cobblepot? But she does absolutely show here she's at least the level and further than Carmine Falcone. Even when she's told to pack up her toys and get out of the city by her own father, she kills him to put the stranglehold back on the city of Gotham. So she's had a very good plan in mind the whole season so far. So for me, she's my character of the week.
Definitely. I think for me, it's actually Victor Zsasz. I enjoy Victor Zsasz numerous times through this season so far. He has some great expressions, some great one-liners, but I think here we saw a bit more of the Victor Zsasz who could potentially, notch into his skin every kill that he has, like we saw in the very first season. And, to see him returning to the Falcone family fold as their loyal member and protector, I think is really interesting. Even going with the lie of Sophia against Oswald about Martine being dead. And the thing is, it sets up quite nicely if he ever finds out that Sophia ordered Carmine shot. That could be the moment that breaks Zsasz into the crazier Zsasz form that we see in the comics sometimes.
Interesting. Overall, John, how would you rate the full finale for Gotham Season 4?
I would give this 5 lead pipes wrapped around Grundy's head out of 5. It has to be 5 out of 5. This is an excellent mid-season finale. It really brought a lot of ends together, and I think it rewarded the patience on the part of the audience to really see the manipulation, the lies, of Sophia. We have Nygma in there. We have his persona of the Riddler. Oswald is back in Arkham. Jim cleans up the streets, but is still faced with the stark reality that he has to swallow some of his pride, swallow some of his morality in order to get the kind of city that he wants to. We have a real poignant moment with Harvey handing back his gun and his badge. We have, I think, Victor Zsasz on real fine form here, returning to Falcone's, grassing in Oswald Cobblepot. Plus, we have R.I.P. Professor Pig, or do we, I suppose? Great character, really integral to the story so far in this season, and has been excellent. Absolutely loved him. And we have the crashing of Alfred and Bruce's relationship. I mean, to a fairly final and extreme position where Alfred is both fired from Bruce's service and is effectively fired as his legal guardian.
Yeah.
Real extreme stuff. So I think it was a very strong episode, which I absolutely loved. I think this season so far, season 4, is without a shadow of a doubt probably the best they have done, consistently. I think this is the third 5 out of 5 for me, already, and it's episode 11. And I think their use of characters is phenomenal. I really do think the range of people and characters and plots that they bring in is quite phenomenal. So definitely 5 out of 5 for me.
Yeah. I think they recently called this the biggest cast on TV for a drama show. It just seems huge. Like, you think about things like CSI and those kind of terrible, admittedly, dramas where they have 5 or 6 main characters. This cast has to be in the region of about 20 now of main characters who get credits. Like, the credits go on for quite a long time at the opening of each episode. So it is great that they have it, because effectively this isn't called the GCPD or, Cobblepot runs Gotham. It's called Gotham, and they're setting up a city. There's so many characters and so many moving parts. And I agree with you, John. This has been a great half season so far. Sorry, we're going to have to wait a little bit of time for the next episode of Gotham. But I suppose we should allow them a little bit of time to actually film the episodes and write them and edit them and put them all together to get this kind of high quality show. This isn't EastEnders after all. I think we need to go on to our feedback for this episode. Really sorry we didn't get to do feedback last episode. We had a little bit of a rush on, but lots of feedback in about this episode. First bit of feedback comes from Johnny Rez over on Facebook, on our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/Gotham TV podcast. He says Victor Zsasz was a loyal servant to Don Falcone until he retired to Florida. At that point, Zsasz became the Gotham merc of choice, and while he works for Oswald now, his loyalty to Don Falcone remains. Hell hath no fury like a homicidal sociopath scorned.
Absolutely. Richard Blaze also says over on our Gotham Facebook group, good episode and a solid mid-season finale, but felt a little disjointed in places. Still enjoyed it though, and Zsasz was the standout character this week. Yeah, absolutely. Really enjoyed Zsasz as well, this week. I actually felt it brought a lot of stuff together from other episodes, so it may have felt disjointed, but I think maybe looking back over the episodes so far, a lot of things may fall into place, but certainly I really enjoyed this episode.
Jason Wiley also sent us a message over on Facebook. He says, another great episode and a pretty good mid-season finale. It wrapped up a lot of loose ends. Loved all the twists and turns with Sophia, and while it was sad seeing the Don meet his end, I expected something was going to happen with him. I loved the scenes with Victor becoming his own man and betraying Penguin. He goes back a long way with the Falcones, and he pledged his respects to the old guard, putting his bullet in the coffin and leaving the church. One hopes Victor can have some autonomy now, and we get a great arc with him. It's sad as well seeing the downfall of Bruce and Alfred, but going on the promo for the following episodes, Bruce will probably snap out of things soon with him in that cave, looking on at that cape figure in the shadows. Oh, and have they confirmed Jerome as the Joker with that card in the promo? It sure looks like it, says Jason. I was looking at this promo a couple of times after the end of episode 11, just wondering what's happening in the next season. And I'm wondering if someone's putting that Joker card in front of Jerome to get his reaction. It looks to me like that's what's happening, that someone has seen a Joker card in the city, and I'm wondering if they're asking Jerome whether he's involved in something or not. A lot of people seem to be saying that he's the one that throws the Joker card down, and that's confirmation that he's the Joker. He is our Joker in Gotham. We've got to now say it, right? Gotham is this other universe. The series has been going on now for almost 4 seasons, probably longer than they'd originally planned for stories to come out of this. So they are leading into this a bit more. We will never get another character coming out of the woodwork. Even if this show goes 10 more years, we'll never get anybody else coming out of the shadows and becoming more Joker than this Joker, right?
Absolutely. He is pretty much Gotham, the TV show's Joker.
Definitely. Yeah. I do agree with you as well. I really liked Victor Zsasz in this episode, and that would be cool if we got a good arc with him next season where he potentially starts to take his own victims and starts to have his own life and his own plan within Gotham to take it back over.
Well, absolutely. And we did have Sophia call out that she allowed Professor Pig to have his own mode of operations, to allow his personality to come into those deaths.
Yes.
You know, she gave him some additional leeway to be creative, artistic, and I wonder whether she'll allow that for Victor Zsasz as well. We also got an email in from Claire Payne for episode 11. Remember, you can send in feedback through our email as well. Just send your thoughts through on feedback@gothamtvpodcast.com. You can even leave a voicemail as well if you want to. Just head on over to gothamtvpodcast.com and head to the right-hand side tab and leave up to 90 seconds of voicemail as well. But Claire goes, "Hello, Gotham TV podcast. My character of the week is Victor Zsasz. His appearance in Gotham this season has been fantastic, but this episode showed just how much respect he showed for Dom Falcone. I really liked the way he grieved and wasn't totally convinced that the Penguin was not behind his death. I've always had a little bit of me wondering if Zsasz was working for Sophia, but I think he decided on his own terms the Falcone family name was worth more than the Cobblepot name. One of my favourite lines is when Oswald asks Zsasz how is Jim Gordon beating them. Zsasz replies, I'm guessing he has great leadership skills. I was also really impressed by Tabitha, her love and determination to make Grundy remember he was Butch. Also, I am really enjoying the Sirens together. I like how they don't particularly like Sophia, especially Selina, but accept they need her alliance. I'm sad to see the Iceberg Lounge go, and it seems the only person that hasn't double-crossed Oswald is Mr. Penn. With Oswald going to Falcone, then suspected of his murder, and not being able to prove that Martin is still alive, it was a very busy episode for Penguin, who got himself a very interesting neighbour in Arkham Asylum with a familiar laugh. We finally got to see who Sophia really is and her ongoing plans for Gotham. She has Jim right where she wants him. Jim's reaction to finding out Sophia knew Pig and she had set up to murder her own father was fantastic. It will be interesting to see if Zsasz's loyalty will remain if and when he finds out Sophia had Carmine murdered. I don't have a favourite scene. The whole episode from start to finish was a highlight. Seeing Harvey, the Riddler, telling Ed that he was in love with Leslie, Bruce and Alfred, especially Alfred on his mission to save Master Bruce, which leads into a very nasty fight. Gotham has delivered 11 outstanding episodes this season. I would like to wish you both lots of podcasting success for 2018. Merry Christmas, Claire, of course. Thank you, Claire, and Merry Christmas back to you. It is the season to be jolly, with a laugh and a chuckle like Jerome.
That's very true. Very true. You know what, Claire? You're right on our page. I think that's the reason why John couldn't pick his Gotham moment of the week either. He had to pick 3 after doing our top 5 points as well. You know, it was one of those episodes where there was so much going on and so much interconnection, even putting together those points of what happened with Sofia Falcone this episode. Okay, something happened 15 times in the episode. Here's something else that happened with Jim 15 times in the episode. There's so much going on and so much interesting layering that they're doing with the writing on the show. Been really, really good, and I definitely enjoyed the episode. Thanks so much for your feedback over on our email.
Absolutely. Thank you, Claire, for the feedback.
And finally, I just thought we got one very interesting tweet the other night over our Twitter account, over at Gotham TV Podcast on Twitter. Deanna Brewer says, maybe Jim should start questioning the women he attracts. Stabby Babs, Lunatic Lee Thompson, Miss Mafia Princess. Just saying, I think it's Gordon.
He likes some psycho.
Yeah, he does really. He kind of does seem to attract those ladies that are going a bit crazy. Does he do it to them? Is there something in the water over at Jim's horrible apartment?
Yeah, and maybe it's that they stick with him long enough for him to really affect them, because we do have the photographer from the press, Valerie Vale, who was using him, but then realized what she was getting into and left very quickly, never to be seen again. So maybe she's found herself at the bottom of the river in Gotham, or maybe she is working quite happily now as a press photographer, with no problems or psychological scarring. But certainly, it's an interesting one. Yeah.
They're very dark. You watched way too much Gotham if you just assume you don't see a character for a while, so they're at the bottom of the river.
It's Gotham.
Thanks so much for that, Deanna, and thanks so much for all of the feedback that you've sent in this week. Again, as John said, if you want to email us with your feedback, you can email us to feedback@gothamtvpodcast.com, or you can go over to and join our Facebook group over at facebook.com/groups/Gotham TV Podcast. We have no particular plans of what our next podcast on Gotham TV Podcast will be until the episodes return with episode 12 of season 4 of Gotham. Maybe we may do one or two reviews of some of the animated films. We may have a crossover episode with one of the other podcasts, perhaps. But if you want to find out what we're doing, we will always post that in our Facebook group over at facebook.com/groups/Gotham TV Podcast. Just answer the questions over there. We'll let you into the group and you can keep up to date with what we're doing.
Absolutely. And of course, it is the season to share the love. So please, head on over, listen, subscribe, rate, leave a review of our podcast on any good or evil podcast catchers. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Podcast Addict, Beyond Pod, any good podcast catcher. Please just search for Gotham TV Podcast.
That's it. I hope you have a happy holiday season with your family and friends, and come back and join us in 2018 for more Gotham. If you're also a Marvel fan, remember that we are covering The Punisher, the latest season on the Netflix Marvel shows over on our Defenders TV podcast. You can find that obviously at defenderstvpodcast.com, or you can subscribe to all of our podcasts over at tvpodcastindustries.com, where we post all of our episodes. So you're more than welcome to subscribe over there and get all of our podcasts in one go. Thanks so much for listening throughout 2017. It's been lots of fun. We have done a podcast every week now for, 33 weeks, I think, since the start of season 3 of Gotham all the way through to this half of season 4. It's going to be weird not having Gotham in our lives for a few months now, after this long doing the podcast, but it's been great fun interacting and hearing all of your thoughts.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for listening to us, Gothamites and fellow detectives. And so for the moment, toodles, Gothamites. It's been a blast. Oink, oink. And we will speak with you again later in 2018. Bye.
Bye.
This is Victoria Cartagena. I play Renee Montoya on Gotham.
Hey, this is Andrew Stewart Jones. I play Christmas Allen on Gotham.
This is Robin Lloyd Taylor. I'm David Mazouz.
Hey, Gotham TV Podcast listeners. This is Maggie Gia, otherwise known as Poison Ivy.
This is Drew Powell, and you're listening to Gotham TV Podcast.